30 days ago, I stopped budgeting manually. I connected my accounts, set 3 rules, and let my money run on autopilot. And the weird part is, it didn't make me disciplined. It made me consistent. Today I'm going to show you exactly what I set up, bank syncing, the automation rules, and the mistakes I made, so you can copy the system in under an hour. And stick around because I'm going to show you 3 things: my 3-rule autopilot system, the no overdraft safety setup, and the category that surprised me the most. Quick context before we build anything. Money feels tighter for a lot of people right now. Prices have been stubborn, and the biggest pressure points for most Australians are still the everyday stuff: food, housing, and all the small costs that add up fast. So if your budget only works when you're motivated, it's basically broken. What we want is a system that works even when you're busy, stressed, or just not in the mood to track every transaction like it's a part-time job. Also, quick disclaimer so we're on the same page. This is general education, not personal financial advice. I'm showing you a process and a set of principles, not telling you what to do with your money. Now let's define autopilot money in one sentence, because that's the whole video. Autopilot money equals visibility plus automation. Visibility means your accounts sync, so you actually see reality. Everything coming in and everything going out. Automation means the right amounts move to the right places without you having to renegotiate with yourself every week. Visibility is what stops denial. Automation is what stops relapse. Now, because this is Australia and because I know the first question people have is bank syncing safe? Let's do the trust section properly. The safest way to do bank syncing here is through the consumer data right, also called open banking. It's opt-in, it's consent-based, and the whole point is you can share your data with accredited providers you choose for the specific purpose you agree to. If you're going to use any app, do this one thing first. Check that it's accredited, or that it's an authorized representative of an accredited provider. There's an official register for this. Use it, don't guess. I'll also link it in the description when you publish your version of this video. Now I want to reduce the fear factor because people imagine syncing is like handing over their wallet. With most budgeting apps, your money stays in your bank account. The app is there to display balances and transactions, so you can understand what's happening. Autopilot is not giving an app your wallet. Autopilot is you setting rules. Okay, baseline. This part is fast because we're not here to obsess. We're here to build. Before I set anything up, my money situation wasn't dramatic. It was just messy. I'm putting 3 baseline numbers on screen. My average weekly discretionary spending, how many bills I missed or paid late recently, and my cash buffer at the end of my pay cycle. And my problem wasn't that I didn't know what to do. My problem was the system didn't run unless I manually pushed it. So the buffer kept disappearing. Bills felt like surprises, and spending would drift up on weeks where life got chaotic. Keep those baseline numbers in your head, because at the end, I'll show you what changed. And I'm also going to give you the exact 3 rules that changed it. Now, step 1 is visibility. You can do this a few different ways. Some people use Frollo, some use WeMoney, some use PocketSmith, some use a spreadsheet and bank exports. What matters is not which tool you pick. What matters is, can it reliably reflect your accounts? And can it show your spending clearly enough that you'll actually use it? Once your accounts are connected, what you've basically created is a live receipt log for your life. And that's powerful, because it stops the "I think I'm fine" hallucination. One quick note though, if you don't want to use bank syncing at all, you can still do autopilot money with bank-only automation. When you publish, put a chapter marker for bank-only autopilot, and you can jump straight to the 3-rule system and skip the syncing part. Now, once accounts are connected, here's the biggest mistake most people make. They overbuild categories. They create a spreadsheet masterpiece and then quit. So here's the rule. Start with fewer categories than you think you need. The goal is not perfect labeling. The goal is behavior change. Now, this is the core. The 3-rule autopilot money framework. Rule 1, bills become boring. Rule 2, spending gets a speed limit. Rule 3, saving is automatic. but safe. Simple enough to remember, strong enough to run your month. Let's start with rule 1. Bills become boring. Here's the concept. You create a separate bills bucket. That can be a separate account or a dedicated savings bucket, whatever your bank supports. And then you calculate the weekly amount you need to feed it so bills stop being surprises. For example, pure example, if your monthly fixed bills average around 2,000 Australian dollars, you're feeding about 500 a week. Not because you're saving, because you're prepaying reality. And you might be thinking, but my bills aren't exactly the same each month. That's normal. Your goal isn't perfect accuracy. Your goal is that bills stop feeling like emergencies. So on screen, I'll show a blurred bill list and totals. And the mindset is this: you're not tracking bills, you're absorbing bills. Once the bills bucket is funded, your default state becomes calm. Now, rule 2, spending gets a speed limit. This is where most budgets fail, because people try to micromanage every category. I don't budget groceries down to the cent. I don't pretend I can predict every social thing, every travel cost, every random life moment. Instead, I set a speed limit. On screen, I'm showing 2 numbers, a daily discretionary cap and a weekly variable cap. And then I track one single number that actually changes behavior. Safe to spend until next payday. Because here's what I learned. If you only measure categories, you can still overspend. You can be under in one category and over in another, and somehow still feel confused. But when you measure pace, how fast your money is leaving, you self-correct. It's like driving. You don't need a spreadsheet for every turn. You need a speed limit so you stop flying off the road. And if you're paid weekly or fortnightly, that safe to spend number becomes your dashboard. Now rule 3. Saving is automatic but safe. This is the fun one. And this is where bank features matter more than the budgeting app features. Because you don't need fancy charts to save. You need transfers that happen without you. If you use a bank that has strong automation features, Up is one example. Many banks have their own version of this. You can automate things like roundups and scheduled auto transfers, so saving happens passively. But you can do the same concept anywhere. Set a scheduled transfer on payday, or the day after payday, into a goals account. And now I'm going to say the most important safety line in this entire video. Automated saving should never be able to steal from bills. Bills get paid first, then saving, then spending. That order is the difference between autopilot makes me calm and autopilot overdrafted me and now I hate budgeting. So your saving automation must sit behind a guardrail. Bills bucket funded first, then the savings transfer fires, then whatever's left is your spending speed limit. At this point, you might be wondering, where does the AI part actually fit into this? Because everyone says AI, but most people don't want hype. They want practical. Here's the AI-ish part that actually matters. When accounts are connected, many apps can help with things like categorization, bill detection, identifying recurring payments, and surfacing spending insights. The point isn't to become a finance nerd. The point is to catch problems early, before they become expensive. And I'll give you one real moment that happened to me during these 30 days. The biggest win wasn't some dramatic investment move. It was seeing recurring charges I had mentally ignored. Not because I'm careless, because life is busy. When the system flags those charges, you stop leaking money through 1,000 tiny holes. Okay, results. I'm not going to bury this. On screen, I'm going to show my before and after cards. You'll see my end of cycle buffer going up, bill surprises going down, and my week-to-week spending variance tightening up. And if you want to add it, you can also show a simple net worth trend line. But here's the real takeaway. What changed wasn't my motivation. What changed wasn't my willpower. The system did the work. Now, retention promise. If your numbers don't improve in 30 days, it's usually for one of 3 reasons. And this next part is the part that will save you the most stress, the mistakes. Mistake 1, automating savings before bills are stable. That's how people overdraft, feel ashamed, and swear off budgeting forever. Stabilize the bills bucket first, then automate saving. Mistake 2, too many categories. If you need 48 categories to be accurate, you didn't build a system, you built a hobby. Reduce the categories until it's easy enough to maintain on your worst week. Mistake 3, no weekly reset. Autopilot is not set and forget forever. Autopilot is set and review briefly. So here is the 10-minute weekly reset checklist, and I'm putting it on screen. Confirm the bills bucket is funded. Review your top 3 spending categories, just the big ones. Cancel or renegotiate one recurring expense if needed. Adjust next week's speed limit. That's it, 10 minutes. And that 10 minutes protects your whole month. Now let's finish with the copy and paste setup you can implement tonight. If you want a simple starter setup that works for most people, it's this. One bills bucket, funded weekly. One spending account with a speed limit. One goal saver with an auto transfer that happens after bills. Optional, roundups into goals. Keep it boring, keep it consistent. Because boring is what frees up your attention for the stuff you actually care about. Now a quick call to action and a sequel hook. If you want, I'll drop my full Autopilot money checklist in the next video. Comment the word Autopilot and tell me if you're paid weekly or fortnightly, and I'll reply with a starting rule set you can use. And in the next episode, I'll show the exact method I use to find and kill silent subscriptions using bank syncing, without spending hours scrolling transactions.